So when I first came to the school, there were some great interventions going on and a lot of really good teaching going on. Unfortunately, what we weren't doing is we weren't looking at the data.
We've kind of been already doing all this. We just have data to look at now.
And it just has a name to go with what we've been doing.
Yes.
And it's broke down into separate components.
Yes.
So Pat came in, and we've been in communication since even into last school year, even with some ideas about what those teams are going to look like and what are those MTSS teams. What do teachers need to come with? How is that going to look?
The problem-solving team is kind of the interdisciplinary team throughout the school who all work together, and we have a lot of different knowledge bases, so we can bring all of our expertise together and really help kids grow to the best of their ability.
And also we have our giant data team meetings like across the grade level that has special education in it, the classroom teachers, interventionists are a part of it, and so we've kind of expanded what that looks like over the year.
And we decided that kind of the best course of action to start was just to jump in and just to start doing these problem-solving meetings where we look at student data and make decisions around it, and just have the teachers experience it and have the staff experience it.
We're having more frequent conversations about kids, which I think is great, because then we're not waiting for a mid-year assessment to be like, oh no, this kiddo's not getting it. We're having these conversations all the time.
It is really nice to have an MTSS coordinator that involves everyone.
And I'm empowered as a principal to sit in and listen to the amount of knowledge that those teams have. And they care that they're successful.
So the data is nice because you're now able to look at each individual student and look at their data and see, like, really, are their interventions working?
And the ones that are not showing progress are really far behind and stuff. We look closer at them.
It helps me because then I know what changes I need to make within my instruction, or also like what holes my students might have. So then because it's not just one thing you have to look at. You have to look at a lot of things, like all the different parts of reading, and then where is that child having a hard time and how do you support them? And you figure it out by looking at that data, and then also looking how is that data changing. And if it's changing, you know what you're doing is working. If it's not changing, you need to be making an adjustment to how you're teaching it or what you're teaching.
I think it is more in depth than it has ever been, where we are looking at data and really assessing where each student is.
I am learning more every single day about how to use the data, what's important about it, what to kind of keep in mind as you're looking at the data. What are those key parts, and what can I do?
I've also learned that data is really important, and making sure you're staying up on your data so that we have information to group kids and regroup kids.
And to have several data points to group our kids, not just one small.
Yeah, not just a benchmark, but have the progress monitoring too.
Yes.
So I progress monitor weekly for our kids, and we do a oral reading fluency, and we also do like a math automaticity with our kids.
It is impressive to me how regularly we have CBMs done in this school, and it's really nice because you can actually see growth on a week-to-week basis.
So I like progress monitoring because, one, you're able to see your kids' successes, and you can see where they're growing, and you can also see where they're not growing, and so that really helps drive your instruction. So
And it really is just like the guide on how we should be delivering instruction.
And if we see how something is not working, how can we change that? And we're having so many eyes on it now. Each person is like, yeah, that isn't working, or we are knowing our students better. We're like, I think that kid needs to go here, and we're switching between interventions, and I think that's a success because we're meeting the students' individual needs.
But we're going to keep plugging away and keep trying to find the right intervention, the right teacher, the right support, whatever it is, to get those kids moving forward.
What I've noticed too is like the change in that is like, in the past, we'd let the intervention work so far, like the materials and stuff, and then we stop, intervene again, and make groups again. But this year, we noticed that with looking at the data and everything, that we're continuing just to keep moving on with the same group. And some of us have had since December, and we're starting to see really good growth with that, with the programs that we have now.
There's more to it than just the intervention part. You know, it's looking at the bigger picture and then going to the smaller picture for our students, you know, not for the teacher, but for our students. So what is the big picture? So like the whole child, and then narrowing in on the skills and strategies that the kids might need, and then supporting them with those and helping them grow and learn.
And I think the co-teaching that we have implemented here at the elementary school, that is only making our MTSS meetings stronger, because now our SPED teachers, we have our interventionists, we have our peers, everybody is bringing that data to the table. And so when we talk about students, we feel like we are giving them the absolute best instruction, not just during intervention time, but our tier 1 time has really strengthened.
We do like the ability to have the smaller groups is great, because we can actually check in and catch those kids in the moment who may or may not be getting a concept, and reinforce or reteach in the moment, because we only have 4 or 5 kids in our group.
Just that extra support in that tier 1, especially for those kids that are kind of struggling at grade level. They are really getting targeted the skills that they need. I mean, breaking up in those small groups, they're getting so much more than they would in a whole group tier 1.
We have been able to see the growth of the students. Students' growth is the main thing.
Kids have made leaps in reading. One student I have started at 67 words and now is up to 150. And that came from that, I truly believe that co-teaching, where she got that individualized reading, what she needed, and then also from her intervention group.
Oh, we see successes daily. And I'm going to give an example. I have a little kid that's in 1st grade. When he came to 1st grade, he had no letters and stuff. Now, when I progress monitor him, he can get up to 42 letters.
And then I think just learning to work as a team is a success. We work together, collaborate, and help our students grow.
And it's life-changing for our kids, because we're starting to see gains. And when we don't see the gains, we don't just throw up our hands and say, oh, darn the luck. We now come back together, and by gosh, we have all eyes on them, and we are figuring it out. We're talking about different programmings that they're not working for us. What can we tweak? What can we change? Because we owe it to our kids. And I don't know a staff member here that would tell you any different.